Welcome once again to our beautiful JNF Forever family on Zoom. We're back this week once again to make sure that you're happy, inspired, and well. And we are always here to support and encourage you and to try and get you to try and stay positive. There has been some change. We can now travel 25 kilometers if you wish to try out the Coles in Brunswick. That's just my humor. Apparently it's very nice. And I always would love to welcome our Executive Director, Ilana Maisels, who's in the house today. She's been a pillar of strength and a leader by example, and we all really appreciate that in these tough times and always. Everyone knows the in-house rules by now. We're all on mute. Well, most of you are on mute. And if you have questions, please type them into the question box at the bottom, and they will certainly be answered at the end. I'm Jackie Chait, Legacy Manager for JNF Victoria. And as I say every week, leaving a bequest is an incredibly benevolent and meaningful thing to do for generations to come. And I'm always available for a coffee and a chat. So let's do this whenever you want. And now to our guest speaker. It is no coincidence that I've noted a higher contingent of ladies in the audience today. I'm just saying. And I would love to thank Tammy Cohen, from our JNF Victoria team for both recommending and securing us this sensational guest speaker. I must use the term I've coined, Kola COVID, Tam. So, Sam Wood is one of Australia's leading health and fitness experts with 20 years experience in the fitness industry. He doesn't look like he's had 20 years, he looks so young. He shot to fame starring as Australian Bachelor in 2015. But nowadays, he's better known as the founder of Australia's fastest growing online training and nutrition program, 28 by Sam Wood. Sam has had a positive impact on over 450,000 people around the world. One of the main reasons for his success is his ability to relate. He keeps things simple and can explain what works and, more importantly, what doesn't work. From a humble fitness instructor at his university gym during his exercise science degree, transitioning to personal trainer and now successful business owner. Spanning 2 decades, Sam has done it all. In addition to 28 by Sam Wood, in 2007, he launched Gecko Sports, Australia's first ever kids gym, and grew it to 30 franchises. He's also the proud owner of The Woodshed, Australia's largest personal training studio. Sam is also the author of 2 best-selling books, 28 by Sam Wood and 7 Minutes to Better Health. He is a well-respected and regular contributor to several online publications and media forums covering business, fitness, and fatherhood, and he's also a media commentator. Currently, Sam is the health and wellness expert on Channel 7's Better Homes and Gardens. Above all, Sam is a proud family man. He and his wife, Snezana, have 3 beautiful daughters. Please join me in welcoming Sam Wood.
Hello, everybody. Wow, what an introduction. That is, that's going to be hard to back that up, isn't it? Well, I just wanted to kick things off by saying a big warm hello to everybody, and a big well done to everybody, because I think we shouldn't underestimate how well everybody has done during such an unprecedented and challenging time. As a person who specializes in helping people get healthy, both mentally and physically at home, I've never been busier, and I've never been, I guess, I've never felt a greater sense of responsibility to be able to help as many people as I can during this time. So my incredible wife and my girls have turned our house upside down during this crazy period, and we've been doing live workouts. We've had 3.5 million people join us for live workouts since March across the world, as we've been jumping around our lounge room and keeping ourselves active. And the feedback from both a mental and physical perspective has just been incredible. And it kind of has just, I guess, led me to think what it all means, you know, during this really, really tough time. What can we do to help ourselves, and what things should we avoid to make things harder when they're harder than they have to be when they're already, you know, incredibly challenging? And the big thing that it keeps coming back to for me is move your body, and I absolutely recommend moving your body in the morning. And that doesn't mean you have to do burpees till your legs fall off, or you have to do a 10-kilometer run. It can be 5 to 10 minutes of exercise at a level that is appropriate to your fitness level and your age and your training history. But getting your body moving, getting the blood flowing, getting the muscles working, getting those endorphins kicking in so that you boost your energy and your mood will absolutely improve your, as I said, energy, mood, productivity, and overall mental and physical health. So the thing that I keep harping on about is try and move in the morning. And the other big thing is focus on what you can control and don't get caught up in what you can't. And that's not rocket science, but it's something that we all fall into the trap of, or even if we say that's what we're going to do, actually practicing it is a much more, difficult proposition. So I like to get the whiteboard out or a big piece of paper, and I draw a huge circle on that piece of paper, and I write in that circle all of the things that I have control of. I can control my exercise. I can control my diet. I can control my sleep. I can control making sure I drink 3 liters of water each day. I can control how hard I work, all of that kind of stuff. What I can't control is perhaps, what the government says we can and can't do at particular times on a Sunday. I can't control what other people say, but I absolutely, and this is probably the most important one, will make sure I write in that circle that I can control my reaction to those things. My reaction to all of these challenges that we face or other people's opinions is in my control. And I think that's the big one that we get confused about. We start to blur the lines, and it's not as black and white as it should be when my reaction to what other people is saying is in my control, but what they say isn't in my control. So there's always going to be people out there that challenge you. People at work, people in your personal life, people in your social life. Do not let that stuff get to you, and you stay strong by controlling what you can control. So I think that's the overarching philosophy that I live by. And once you get a handle on that, it's a complete game changer. It's not a click your fingers job. I used to be, particularly being in the public eye, it was a really steep learning curve for me to, want everybody to like me and, excuse my French, but if someone said, oh, that guy's a dickhead, I'd used to take it really personally. And, something I now live by is if you don't know them personally, don't take it personally, because there's going to be a lot of people out there with a lot of opinions. Everyone's got one, and you don't need to take those things to heart. And in fact, it doesn't do you any good from a self-worth perspective, a self-confidence perspective, a mental health perspective, if you take those things too seriously. And as soon as you can, the only people I care about are my closest friends and my family. And once I, sort of shifted my attitude towards that, I can't believe how much it's improved my happiness. I can't believe how much it's improved my productivity, because I don't get distracted or bogged down by worrying about all these people's opinions that have nothing to do with me. And then it allows me to focus on me, and me to focus on my family, and me to focus on my work. And it's absolutely helped productivity and, more importantly, enjoyment and happiness in all of those things. In the introduction, it was alluded to that my 28 program, which is all about helping people get healthy and fit at home, has helped nearly 500,000 people, which is something I'm incredibly proud of. And it's all about keeping things simple. So I alluded to the fact at the start, move in the morning. My 28 program is all about getting you to move in the morning from home, because gyms are great. I own a gym. I'm not anti-gyms, even though my gym is shut at the moment, unfortunately. I'm not anti-gyms, but there's nothing more convenient than being able to wake up, tap your phone, do a workout, in your daggiest tracksuit or your pajamas or whatever it is and not care about what that person thinks, or I have to drive to the gym and get a park and it's stressing me out and all of these kind of things. And when you find a routine or a habit when it comes to your exercise that works for you, that's where the penny drops. And that doesn't have to be my home workouts. That could be, I do this walk, or I do this bike ride, or I do this Pilates class, or I do this yoga class, or I go dancing, or I play tennis with my friends. It doesn't matter, but you have to find what works for you. And there's a myriad of great activity options out there. You just need to find what works for you from a convenience perspective and an enjoyment perspective. And then you will do it consistently, because everyone has this idea with exercise that you have to train for 2 hours a day, or you have to train so hard that you can't move your legs the next day. It's absolutely not true. Activity is all about consistency. You want to find an exercise routine or an activity routine or a movement routine that you can do on a consistent basis. And then you want to complement that with a good nutritional plan. And I don't like the term diet, because I think diet lends itself to a very short-term fix, and the best eating plans are those that are sustainable. And the best or most important rule when it comes to our food or nutrition is JERF, which is just eat real food. Because the biggest mistake we make as a collective when it comes to our nutrition is we eat too many processed foods, processed carbs, refined sugars. We don't eat enough protein. We don't eat enough good fats. We don't eat enough of the right carbohydrates. We don't drink enough water. But most importantly, we have shifted away from eating real food. So the more real food ingredients you can get from the local market or the supermarket, and the more real food you can cook yourself, the better off you will be. So when it comes to my exercise philosophy and my food philosophy, it is try and move your body every day, even if it's just for 10 minutes. And the majority of your nutrition should come from eating real food. And, I'm a dad of 3 girls, and I see all the nutrition marketing out there that's trying to, trick people and, persuade you that this food and that food in a packet is good for you when it's not. And so I would also advise you become educated enough, and I'm sure many of you already are, but educated enough to read a food label. And that's the most important thing you can look at on the food label is the number of ingredients. The less ingredients it has, the closer it is to a real food. So if you're looking at a food label and it's got 7 or 8 or 10 or 12 ingredients, I would suggest you're moving a fair way away from it being a real food. If it's got 2 or 3, that becomes really important. The list in which those ingredients are listed on the label is in order from highest percentage to lowest percentage. So the first couple of ingredients are critical. If the first couple of ingredients are things that you don't recognize, or numbers or something like that, that's a big warning sign. And of course, if it doesn't have a packet, that is a wonderful sign. If you're looking for the food label on an apple, you're not going to find one because it's an apple, and that means it's good. So I'd absolutely advise, the other one is probably look at the number of grams of sugar per 100 grams, because that is a percentage of sugar. So if I'm 8 grams of sugar per 100 grams, I can absolutely know that is a product that is 8% sugar. And then it becomes really easy, particularly with products like yogurts, breakfast cereals, kids' snacks. If you are comparing product to product, you can very easily go, well, that one's marketed or positioned as a healthy product, but it's actually 28% sugar, like a Just Right cereal. It's positioned as a really healthy cereal for us, but it's 28% sugar. Or a Milo or that kind of thing, which is 45% sugar. Right back to, look at this muesli, which has less ingredients, more real ingredients, and it's only 8 grams of sugar per 100 grams. So from a food label reading perspective, that is what I would do. And then the other question with my nutrition is, how much water should I drink? And the simple equation that I normally go with, there's no perfect science around it, but most of us don't drink enough water. We don't start the day by drinking water. We fall behind. And as a general rule, if you get thirsty, you're probably already dehydrated. That's like a warning sign that you've already dehydrated your body. And we underestimate the importance of water. If we think of eating as the fuel to fuel our engine, you need to think of the water that you consume as the oil to keep that engine working efficiently. If you want to be sleeping well, thinking well, moving well, and burning fat efficiently, you can't be dehydrated. None of those things will be working at their optimum if you are dehydrated. So the equation that I use is whatever my body weight is. So I weigh 95 kilos. So I drop the second number. So there's a 9 left. And then I halve that number, and that's how many litres of water I should be consuming per day. So for me, 95, I remove the second number. Half of 9 is 4.5. I want to be consuming 4.5 litres of water per day. And the thing that often happens is that's a shock to people, because they might weigh 60 kilos. Their number therefore becomes 3 litres of water per day, and they are a long way off that. So my advice is, if you're only consuming half a litre to a litre right now, you don't have to jump up to 3 litres tomorrow. You'll be racing off to the bathroom every 5 minutes. But across a 1 month period, aim to gradually increase your daily water intake till you get to that desired number. And I promise you, you will feel better. You will feel, you'll be less dehydrated. Your brain will be working better. Your body will be functioning better. You'll sleep better, particularly if you don't drink too much of that water just before you go to bed. Try and front end it and get as much of it in early in the day. And I promise you it'll be a game changer. So the big areas I focus on are we moving our body each day? Are we fueling our body right, both in food and staying hydrated with water? And then from a mental health perspective, are we focusing on the things that we can control and not getting stressed out about the things that we can't? Are we getting enough sleep each night? And the magic number is 8. So 8 hours of sleep each night is the magic number that you want to achieve. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. I haven't had 8 hours sleep for a couple of years. I'm happy to put my hand up and say that is currently a pipe dream, but I make sure I go to bed at a civilized hour so that I still can get as close to that magic eight magic number as I can. And from a mental health perspective, I try and slow down a little bit, because in today's world, we are overstimulated. So text messages, emails, continual phone calls, continual noise with social media and televisions and whatever it might be. You actually need to actively remove yourself from all of that stuff. So whether or not it's as simple as not having your phone next to your bed when you sleep, or having a rule that you are not going to have any blue light, which could be an iPad, a phone, a computer, any screen, 30 minutes before bed, to allow your brain to slow down and give you better quality sleep at night. So you've just got to put some simple parameters around it, particularly this younger generation. And this is something that I not only look at for myself, but definitely for my children. I have a 15-year-old daughter whose world revolves around, all her schooling, particularly now, is done on her school computer and iPad. And then there's all of these social media apps and all this other stuff. So I own an online fitness program. I'm not anti-technology. I absolutely think technology can be your best friend or your worst enemy, depending on how you use it. So you have to harness the good, but you have to have the rules and the self-discipline to not let it become too obsessive and be taking over your life and actually having a detrimental effect on your health, because it's a slippery slope. We fall in love with all of these great technological advances, and then it goes too far the other way and we become a little bit addicted to them. So, they're my 3 pillars: exercise, nutrition, and mindfulness or mental health. and you need to address all three of those pillars equally. There's no point being a gym junkie if you don't look after your food. There's no point being fantastic with your exercise and your food if you're stressed out and you're not getting any sleep. You need to not be perfect. The attitude, and Tammy Cohen will be testament to this, of 28 is, and my personal philosophy is, progress, not perfection. Don't strive to be perfect. Don't worry if you didn't work out yesterday. Don't worry if you had McDonald's for dinner. The world's not going to end. It's about what you do next that becomes really important, and that not becoming 3 or 4 or 5 days or weeks that, you know, aren't terribly healthy in a row. So if you have a bad night's sleep, you get a good night's sleep the next day. If you didn't drink enough water yesterday, that's all right. Don't dwell on the past and make it worse mentally than it needs to be by fixating on it. Focus on what you can do next. And again, comes back to focusing on what you can control and not what you can't. I cannot control what I did yesterday. That's done. I can control what I do today. I can control what I do tomorrow. So that philosophy is absolutely relevant to almost everything that we do. I could harp on all morning to you beautiful people, but I won't, because I know that I just wanted to give you a bit of an overarching, I guess, idea of my I try to keep it really relatable. I try to keep it really simple, but my overall health philosophies. And then I was going to take some questions. So if you want to put them in the chat function, or I don't know if we're going to do an unmute ask question thing, that might get a little bit hairy because everyone will be asking something at the same time, but I'll let you facilitate it, Jackie, if you like.
Yeah. I just want to see if there are any in the chat box. Yes, Ruth, there will be a recording. All our events are recorded and they are available on YouTube under JNF Forever. So that answers that question. I have a question, if I may, and then I'm sure there will be others.
Sure.
Sort of with the water. If you don't enjoy water, how do you force yourself to? I'm sitting with this bottle here. I think it's been here for 2 days. I better open it actually.
Yeah, look, it's.
How do you force yourself to drink 3 liters of water, or in my case, probably 10 if I'm halving and doing.
I don't know about that, but yeah, look, it's just building the habit. I mean, water, might not be the most exciting thing to consume, but as soon as you start mixing it with things, I mean, you can make it a bit more exciting with some natural, squeeze of lemon, or you can infuse some fruit or something through it. But if you are trying to make it more appealing, do it in a natural way. You can't, be mixing cordial or whatever it is with it, because then you've got to consider all of the extra sugar that you're consuming to actually get the hydration in. So again, baby steps. And we often don't consume enough of it because we just forget, if it isn't a habit. So, I know I've seen some of my 28ers come up with some really beautiful ideas. They put like a little red sticker dot on the top of their laptop. They also have the same dot on the rear view mirror of their car, and they always have a drink bottle in the car. They set an alarm on their phone that every 90 minutes or 2 hours, a little drink water alert goes off. And it's just, oh, hang on, it's just something. And before you know it, you've gotten into these habits. But the most important thing to probably get in the habit of doing is having a big glass of water when you first wake up. So you're actually ahead of the curve rather than playing catch up all day, because it is one of those things, you blink and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and you realize you haven't had any water for the day. And it's very hard then to get 3 liters in between then and going to bed and not feeling, a bit uncomfortable and full before you go to sleep. So the more you can get it in from the moment you wake up to kind of middle of the afternoon, the better off you'll be.
Okay, great. We have another question. In terms of sugar, when comparing products, particularly yogurt, how do you account for the sugar derived from the fruit within it?
Yeah, it's a really good question. You'd probably still just look at that overall percentage, because it is a little way that they trick you. If it's natural yogurt and it's not a flavoring, which is what you want to have, you want to have a natural Greek yogurt or something like that. Because you're better off having the yogurt be natural and adding the fruit as real fruit, because then you're in full control. If you choose a natural yogurt with good healthy fats, relatively high in protein, and a very low natural sugar content, and you put fresh berries in that yourself, this comes back to the just eat real food philosophy, you're in full control. It's like when you make your own granola muesli. You know, every ingredient that went in there, it might have taken you 15 minutes on a Sunday, but you've cooked up a big batch that's going to keep you sorted for 3 or 4 weeks, rather than trying to navigate your way through this tricky marketing spin. You know, things have the healthy tick and they're really not healthy. You know, big companies have paid money to have these endorsements, and don't take these things for granted. Get in there, read the label yourself, and if in doubt, make that product yourself from real food.
Excellent. Joan Quate asks, what about herbal teas?
Herbal teas are great. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, again, it comes, you know, with tea and coffee. I'm not anti-coffee either. I think 1 or 2 coffees a day is completely fine. You probably just want to make sure you're having them before 2 o'clock in the afternoon so that it doesn't impact your quality of sleep. And you also need to consider that if you're drinking caffeine or you're exercising in a really hot environment, you're going to dehydrate yourself a little bit, and you might need to bump that water quantity up just marginally to compensate for that. But herbal teas, particularly if you're keeping an eye on caffeine component, totally fine. Again, there's going to be good ones and bad ones. The more natural they are, the better. So just again, keep an eye out for less ingredients. A natural herbal tea will only have 1 or 2 ingredients in it. If it's full of numbers and chemicals, that's something to be conscious of.
Right. Enough G asked, how about, I think you mean Wheat Bix? About Wheat Bix? Is it healthy, especially asking for kids? Wheat Bix.
Yeah, I mean, they're not bad. They're not terrible. It's a bit processed. You know, it's kind of, oats are best if you're looking for the most unprocessed and high energy and protein cereal. I'd go with a raw oats option, in which you can use that as a foundation for making your own muesli or porridge or whatever it might be. But Wheat Bix are not terrible. I mean, I'm a parent of 3 kids. I think we've probably even got Cocoa Pops floating around the house somewhere. Do the kids eat it very often? No, they don't. But we live in a real world, and it's okay. And Wheat Bix would definitely be at the better end of the spectrum than the worst. So by no means, if you're a parent out there giving your kids Wheat Bix, should you feel guilty. Just make sure it's with some milk and some nice fresh fruit.
Okay, a question from Tammy, Tim Tam. Have you thought about doing a specific program for kids again? What about an online program for kids?
Really good question, Tam. I have thought about it a lot, actually. It's something I would love to incorporate into 28. I would love to create a little age-specific kids series that became a part of the 28 offering, so that all of the parents could get that as something that they could either do with their children or give their children access to it. So I promise you it's on our list, my dear, and it's something that we're going to look at. And with my history in that area, it does make a lot of sense.
From me, a question just in terms of your own personal story.
Yeah.
How did you transition from sort of what you were doing on the Bachelor and your exercise science degree into sort of going into business? Because it's such a different mindset, it's such a different skill set.
Look, I've always loved the business side of things, Jackie. Even as a subcontractor personal trainer, that's like a nice little baby step, I think, into understanding business, you know, having to pay tax and do your own marketing and business card. It's very basic, you know, but that was a nice little dip your toe in the water, I guess. And then when I was 26, I launched Gecko, which was Australia's first ever kids gym. I had that business for 10 years. I made a lot of mistakes, but I loved every second of it. I learned a lot. And then I had a very successful gym with the woodshed, but the Bachelor just gave me so much exposure and probably confidence in front of the camera and a lot of other things. And I then just started getting lots of questions through emails and social media channels. Sam, can you write me a workout? Can you do me an eating plan? You know, I love the way you explain things in these simple terms. Can you write me a workout program, whatever it might be? So it became apparent that there was a lot of people out there that didn't like gyms, wanted to train at home. And so 28 really was a culmination of sort of 15 years experience I'd had in the industry to that point, and understanding, I guess, what were the barriers that held people back. Well, gyms are great, but to see a personal trainer 3 times a week is very expensive, and it's not terribly convenient, particularly if you're a mum with children. Then it was, you know, the biggest pet peeve I have with personal trainers is they're fantastic with their clients for the 1 or 2 sessions that they see them a week, but they tend to neglect helping those people with motivation, support, accountability, and most importantly, food. It's kind of, for the 2 hours, you and I are going to do wonderful things together, but then for the 166 hours a week that I don't see you, you're left to your own devices. And I've never seen anyone get great results if they don't look at the food side of things or the accountability and support side of things. So for me, it was putting an online program together that ticked all of those boxes, but still kept it really simple. And we launched, you know, I launched 28 in February of 2016, and we had 5,000 members signed up by Easter. And when that happened, I knew that we had something really, really special. And now 4.5 years later, we've nearly had 500,000 Australians do the program, and it's just gone absolutely crazy. And, you know, I've got 28 full-time staff that work on the program, work full-time for my business. And I guess the thing that I learnt with Gecko is don't try and do everything yourself, and understand what your strengths are, but also what your weaknesses are. And, you know, and I was a bit of a control freak back then. My wife would tell you that I still am, but I'm letting go slowly but surely. But I now let amazing people in the tech department and the marketing department and the content department do their thing, and I can be me, who is the person who keeps in touch with all of the members, writes all the programs, films all the workout content, and promotes the program through Better Homes and Gardens or TV or radio, or whatever it might be. And the fact that I can do what I do best and what I love means it doesn't feel like a job at all. I literally bounce out of bed every single morning, and I'm one of the very, very few lucky ones that, yeah, you know, we're nearly 5 years old. I just feel like we're getting started, and I love my job more than I can describe.
That's incredible. And having 28 staff, is that just a coincidence?
That is just a coincidence. We're reluctant to employ the 29th. It just makes too much sense.
I love that. There is Naomi Landau has written, I'm currently on the 28 program and wanted to say a huge thank you to Sam. Your program is honestly life-changing. I just love it, and your support and authenticity is just wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. That was from Naomi. And then from Natalie Evan Barr, me too, life-changing. So you've got a lot of groupies on here today.
Oh, that is wonderful. Look, I'm an Elsternwick boy, and I do bump in, I'm sure, to many of your members, either in the supermarket or when I'm walking my dog, and get stopped in the street and have some beautiful chats.
I hope they're not hiding chocolate bars.
That's it. That's it. We all put our plastic bags behind our back, and we go on our merry way. But it's that's wonderful feedback. And look, I think the word there that is probably the most complimentary from Nay is authenticity, because if you're trying to be someone that you're not, I think people are going to see through that. I'm dorky. I don't do 2 takes on my videos. My whole family, you know, bless them, are involved, you know, whether it's my little 3-year-old talking to the 28ers, or Snesh and I working out together, or, you know, we try to keep it as real as possible, because I do feel that's what connects with people. You know, if you put yourself on a pedestal and you're like, oh, look at me, I never eat anything bad and I work out every day and I'll put that, you know, glass of wine down, that's not relatable for people. People want to see the real you, and that you're just like everybody else, and that you have found a way to still be healthy, but in a more balanced sustainable way, because that's what's most important to try and achieve.
Absolutely. I think, look, we've got a few more moments. There's another question here because I was going to open it up, but there's another coming from Renee. What advice can you give on sustaining motivation, particularly towards, well, obviously towards exercise and nutrition, but what about sustaining the motivation, I think is the question here.
It's a really good question, Renee, and probably one I get asked most. And the answer, this is one of these questions that people ask wanting a magic answer. And I would be doing you a disservice by telling you that, you're going to be motivated every day, and because you're not. I'm not. There are days I do not feel like exercising, probably 2 or 3 times a week. It's the last thing I feel like. The days you exercise when you are not motivated are the days that are most important, because your motivation will be fleeting. You need to have habits. You need to have some rules for yourself. And it might be, I will work out 4 times a week, no matter what, or whatever it is. And you need to make sure that whatever else is going on from a distraction or an excuse or a motivation perspective doesn't let that stuff waver. And if you are making those workouts be 30 minutes or less, and you can do them from home, and you thoroughly enjoy them, or you enjoy at least how you feel afterwards, then you will get that done. But I think, and this has been a long-winded answer, Renee, but the biggest mistake people make is they say to themselves, I will work out on the days that I'm motivated, but they don't actually challenge themselves to say, I will work out on the days that I'm not. And that's what you have to do. You have to, they think that everyone else that exercises more regularly than them is magically more motivated than they are. And I can promise you, probably 1% of those people are actually more motivated than them. The rest just have some rules and some discipline and some willpower, and they make sure they get it done. So don't rely on motivation, because if you are relying solely on motivation, you won't last.
That makes a lot of sense. There's a question from Lisa Mayer. Hi, Sam. I've been on the program for almost 2 weeks and love it, but I'm hungry a lot of the time. I love that. Will that change, and what can I do?
Yeah, absolutely. Lisa, it absolutely will change. I think there's a bit of a, adaptation period when you start something new. Your muscles get a bit sore. You crave certain foods or sugar or whatever it might be that your body's used to consuming. And if you are used to consuming more food than what the program, and our program is 3 big filling meals per day, but it can absolutely still be less than potentially what you've been used to. Again, make sure you're hydrated. Having more water in your system will have a benefit on those hunger cravings. And you're allowed to have the healthy snacks on the program, Lisa, and that might be something that now you have 3 breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a healthy snack, and you can wean yourself off the snack as you get used to it. But there's usually a sort of 1 to 4 week transition period in which that hunger will go, just as your body acclimatizes to consuming less food.
I may open it to the floor at the moment so people can actually talk, which I think would be nice. So if you'd like to ask a question, I know Tammy's just waiting. Anyway.
I'd like to ask.
Ilana, and by the way, Sam, Ilana is our executive director.
Hello, Ilana.
She's
Hi,
our boss, and we all love her, and she's got a question.
All right, boss, hit me.
I don't call myself boss. That's how Jackie calls me. I call myself.
I call her Gal Gadot.
No, I'm not. I just want to ask you a question, because you said before you don't like diet. I also hate the word diet, because then it put me in stress. I feel like I need to be more regimented with what I eat. Do you think in a way, just, all the recommendation, obviously, that you said, I'm trying to apply like everyone else. It's very challenging when you're at home and constantly you have access to your fridge during the day, and it's not great. I'm saying about myself, but I know other people also told me the same thing, that it's very tempting to go. And although you have, you're consuming what you have to consume every day, but do you believe that, I don't call it diet. I'm trying to eat healthy food as much as I can. But also I feel like even with exercising and doing the right thing, there is days that the energy levels, I'm only talking about energy levels, they're not the same. Like you can tell, like from one day to another, which is always a surprise for me. Like if you do the same thing, why you get different energy levels? This is something you ever...
Yeah, look, when we snack a lot, and look, I'm really glad you brought it up, because I think it's never been a more challenging time to be, to control your snacking. Most of us, when we go to work, it's just trying to beat that after dinner snacking window. At the moment, we're all working from home. You have a break, you get a bit, a lot of it's just through boredom, but you literally find yourself almost unconsciously opening your pantry or your fridge, and it's a real challenge that we're all facing. So
and cooking way more and baking way more that I used to do in the past. It's just like, I think a lot of people now find themselves in the kitchen more than they used to in the past. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we've lost our normal structure. So the most important thing that you have to do in these COVID times, or the new normal of working from home, is to create a new structure that is going to work. And if you're eating a little bit more, you want to be moving a little bit more. So in the time that you are saving in your commute on a daily basis, get your steps up, get that incidental activity, and then it allows you to have a little bit more food coming in, knowing that there's a little bit more calories being burnt out. But from an energy perspective, if we snack too much, it tends to send us on a bit of an energy up and down roller coaster. If we maintain our food structure, and in each of those 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I'm a big fan of eating my breakfast later. Whether you want to call it fasting or go into that, I don't necessarily endorse fasting in its extreme sense. But the reason I like intermittent fasting, which is sort of eating your 3 meals within a 8 or 10 hour window, I like to do sort of my breakfast at 10. And because I've got little kids, we typically eat dinner about 6. And then I've just got to have the discipline to not undo all of that good work by having dessert or raiding the biscuit tin or whatever it might be between sort of 6:30 and bedtime. And I don't win that battle every single day, by the way, but more days than not, I'm coming out on top. But if I can get those, if I don't eat my breakfast too early, because if I eat my breakfast really early, I find that's a really long time between breakfast and then lunch and then lunch and then dinner. Whereas if I can eat my breakfast at 10 and then my lunch at 1 to 1:30, and then, maybe a healthy piece of fruit and some almonds or something in the middle of the afternoon, and then my dinner at 6 or 6:30, I don't find my energy fluctuates as much. It took a little bit of getting used to. I was craving my breakfast at 7 o'clock because that's what I was always used to. But now I have my black coffee in the morning. I find, I keep busy and I'm, sort of doing work and playing with the kids or whatever it might be, but I can get through to 10 a.m. and then trying to get my 3 quality meals, maintaining that structure, breakfast, lunch, dinner, within an 8 to 10 hour window has been a game changer for me, and absolutely something I think if you are snacking too much, feeling like your energy is going up and down, or feeling hungry, then I would absolutely endorse that you try and get within an 8 hour window for your 3 meals.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Really good question, particularly the snacking, because I think we're all being pretty hard on ourselves right now. Everyone is snacking more. There are all these memes in March when this crazy time began that, I'm either going to become the fittest I've ever been or gain 10 kilos during this lockdown period. And it's kind of true. I think people have gone one way or the other. They've either embraced this home workout phenomenon, or they've gone, I'm going to consume every show that was ever put on Netflix, and I'm going to become a bake me expert, and I'm probably going to put on a few kilos. So And look, it's okay. We can. It's not the end of the world if you put on a few kilos during COVID. You're not in the minority, but maintaining some structure. When we go to work, that gives us the structure. We all break for lunch at the same time. We all eat and then we commute, or we commute and then we eat. We all get home and we have dinner. When you're at home for 15 hours a day, 7 days a week, that structure goes out the window. So you have to have a little bit more discipline to recreate a structure that's going to work for you from a practical perspective and a health perspective.
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely makes sense. I think we've got time for, Ariella, what, 1 or 2 more questions?
Sure.
All right, anyone else? Ilana Cohen.
Hi, Sam.
Hello, how are you? You're looking wonderful.
Yeah, well, I got a good eye specialist if you like. Sam, with children, nutrition, just a question. Kids who, let's call them, have more unhealthy choices of food because that's what they want. Would you recommend low-fat milks and cheeses, or still full fat? I mean, there's a bit of a
Still full fat.
Yeah.
Still, I mean, that is fat coming from a natural source. You want kids to be getting all of the good calcium and nutrients from those dairy products. I mean, I'm pretty big on this. Kids don't do their own supermarket shopping. Kids are a product of us as parents. And as I said before, we have, chips and Cocoa Pops and stuff in our house, but the kids aren't in charge, we're in charge. And I think for many of us, we lost control somewhere. We probably can't put our finger on where it happened, and it's very, very hard to regain control. But it is our responsibility to make sure that we take responsibility for what our children eat. And I wouldn't be worrying about, light milks and light dairy products. I think they're better off consuming those things in their most natural source. But we feed them a lot less of the high sugar, high processed chips and biscuits and lollies and soft drinks and that kind of thing. I mean, that is absolutely where we should be focusing our energy. And that can be a process to win back control once you've and this sounds like an extreme word, but once you've created an addiction for your children on these particular foods and they've become very, very fussy eaters, that they then shake their head and refuse to eat anything else. So, Alana mentioned she's doing more cooking than ever. That can be a wonderful thing. Get your kids in the kitchen, cook with them, teach them what real food is. I remember Jamie Oliver did this documentary series through the UK, and he asked children to name one vegetable and they couldn't, it was just this crazy kind of eye-opening shock. But our children have lost sight of what real food is because everything they eat comes out of a packet. So get them in the kitchen, get them cooking with real food ingredients.
So one way to combat this is not to bring home foods that they shouldn't.
Totally. Or at least you don't want to be the parent who's got the only kid who's never eaten a packet of chips, perhaps. You don't need to go too extreme with it. It is 2020 and we need to have probably some realistic expectations on this kind of thing. But if everything they are consuming is out of a packet, and as soon as you serve up real food, they flat out refuse to eat it, then you've gotten to a point that something needs to change. And with kids as well, beverages is a massive one. Addicted to sugar, high sugar juices, soft drinks, sports drinks. We just need to be really, really careful that we get back to teaching them that should be a treat and they need to be consuming water most of the time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think 1 more question.
Sure.
I was just going to quickly say while I've got the microphone.
Hi, Tam.
Really quickly, Sam, you know how much I love you, and I don't need to advertise your program because you've already done. Plenty of people know about it, but I just want to say I've been on the program for 4 years now, and never in my life have I been able to stick to anything. This is the most sustainable, program I've ever experienced. And I have my bad days and my good days, but one thing you've taught me, the progress, not perfection. So, you know, that guilt does sort of disappear a little bit when I want a bit of ice cream one day here or there. But it's the not negotiable that you talk about a lot with us. And that, you know, making that a real sort of, these are my non-negotiables and that's what I'm going to stick to. So I think especially at the moment when we are stuck at home and we go to the pantry and we want to eat those snacks, but to actually talk to yourself and make a commitment to say, this is my not negotiable and I am not going to eat these snacks, you know, 5 days out of the 7 or whatever. Stop laughing at me. My mum thinks this is a joke because I you know, I'm human. That's the,
It's good, yeah, but it's good to have some rules. It's good to have some boundaries. It's good to have some accountability. A lot of us talk a lot and actions speak, you know, much louder than words, but we're a bit afraid to actually own up to these things and make ourselves accountable, whether it's writing goals down, telling our closest friends and family about what those goals are, putting them up on the fridge for you to see every day or the whole family to see on a daily basis. You know, don't be afraid to really put yourself out there and make yourself accountable. It might be uncomfortable, but you will get much better results.
Thank you so much. All right, I would now like to call upon Bella, who's our chair, to do the vote of thanks. Bella, there's no baby today.
No baby today. I'm having a very
forgot you said
peaceful
the
day.
baby.
And Sam, I think you summed it up beautifully. When you started off by saying, give me the strength to change what I can and give me the strength to accept what I can't. And I think that sums it up beautifully. Your philosophy, your attitude and your rules about positivity, energy and optimism have been just very welcomed, I think, by every one of us. And it's something for us certainly to look towards. But I'll tell you something, Sam. I like things to happen quickly, just like everybody else. So I'm going to go out and look for your 7 minutes to good health.
There you go.
That sounds like it's doable.
It's in the shop on my 28 website. So you'll be able to find it there, Bella. But yeah, 7 minute. So it's full of 7-minute recipes and 7-minute workouts, which I think we can all agree is a great starting point for all of us.
Excellent.
I think I could actually manage 7 minutes.
That's it. 28 minutes is too daunting. 7 minutes is a great place to start.
Great.
I promise I'll start there and I'll see if I can work my way up to 28. But
Sounds
thank
great,
you. That
guys.
was absolutely inspiring. Loved it. Learned a lot. And thank you for giving your time to JNF. I'd also like to take a moment out just to thank Ilana, Jackie and Ariella for the amazing job you do with the speakers, with the technology that goes behind everything. And I'd urge every one of our family to get behind JNF Forever and do what you can to support them. So thank you, girls. And thank you so much, Sam, for an absolutely wonderful presentation.
Most welcome. Have a great day, everybody, and stay strong.
Thank you.
Bella, thank you so much for that. We'll be once again, Sam, thank you very, very, very much. And it was absolutely wonderful. We will be back next week. Next week we're having our event on Wednesday, please note, and not Thursday, just as a once-off. I have a conference on Thursday, so Wednesday it is. And wait, what did I'm not even looking at my notes. Look at this. I've become so good at ad-libbing lately. Yes, so it's on Wednesday and not Thursday. And also just to repeat, the events are all recorded because we get queries about that all the time. So you can look it up on YouTube under JNF Forever. And yes, we have a very intriguing speaker set up for next week. Again, very different. Every week we try and keep it eclectic and mix it up. So next week will be great again. All of you stay safe and healthy and well. And Sam, once again, thank you so much. And we hope to see you all next week.